Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our audience, our folks this wonderful day. We're here with our one of our fabulous ambassadors, Curt, Braden, and we're just going to catch up with them a bit and see how things have been going. I believe last time we had the amazing opportunity to speak with your wife, Sarah.
Yeah,
So
she
I'm
said
looking
great things, man.
yeah, I'm looking forward to, seeing what you're all about because she spoke very highly of the collaborative effort that you two had put together to get to where you are today. So, why don't you give me a
Definitely.
quick rundown of how you got started and got involved in the film industry?
Okay, yeah, no, definitely. Well, first off, definitely I couldn't do it without her. Definitely film is such a team effort, so always having that supporter just helped me along the way. Definitely grow as an artist and just grow with clients as well. So, again, I started rather in the skateboard world. We did a lot of skateboard films, and a lot of my friends were into filming it, and I was actually skating, so it was a little different when we flipped the script and I started filming. And the big skateboard film that we released at the time was called This Is Reality, and it sort of went to every big skate shop in the nation here, and we did well with that, and it just really sparked my interest on making short films and feature films that I'm passionate about. So it really turned into work with weddings, and from the wedding world, it really led into the commercial world, and again, the short film and features is where our passion really is. So that's where we ended up really focusing on. So yeah,
So,
that's pretty much it.
when did you get started with doing skate videos? Like, how long ago was it?
I mean, I was probably 18 when we were filming for the videos, and then we filmed probably 2 years long for our big release video and called This Is Reality. So I was probably 20 when it came out, and then from there just started picking up the camera after that. From music videos to weddings, and then leading to commercials. So yeah.
So, you started off like it was a long-term project then initially because then
Oh,
you
the
started when you were
skateboard film?
18
Yeah.
and then okay, how did that go about? Like, how did you get involved with that project?
Well, basically, I was sponsored by a skateboard shop that had a team, and the team all sort of worked together to create content for the shop. Eventually, we all decided to come together and make sort of a short film mixed with a skateboard film. So we had intros, we had a storyline a little bit, and then it had the action sports element of it too. So we were able to sort of create a little short film out of it. It's sold in a bunch of different skate shops, and that's really what led us to focus more on filming and creating content, for that world.
At that point, what were you mainly doing for that project? Like producing, directing?
I was producing mainly and then skating in it. So I was the talent at
Oh,
that point.
okay, that's
Yeah.
cool.
So I was a semi-professional skateboarder for a long time, and that sort of world just you're around filming a lot and photography as well. So that really sparked my interest when I'm getting a little bit too old to do the skate stuff. So film can last forever in a way.
Yeah, you can still work on it at any age, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So from there, it led you like you went to college and stuff too for filmmaking, or did you just
Well, I went to
kept working the
UNC.
field?
Yeah, I went to UNC Charlotte for business and like econ specifically. So it really allowed me to understand the entrepreneur side of the business. But the filming, I sort of had to do YouTube University a little bit and just really study from a bunch of great people and artists on there, as well as a couple mentors around town. So that really allowed me to gain a lot of growth. So.
Oh, okay. The Academy of YouTube.
Yeah, I guess everyone learns a little bit, but you learn by doing in this field. So just getting out there and doing it, especially for me, every shoot I learn something new. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
definitely. I 100% agree because I mean, for the longest time, I also had to study from the Academy of YouTube, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Like a ton of
Yeah.
people, like there's just getting to be more and more information out there these days, so it makes it
Full
a lot
courses,
easier.
everything. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some really high-end DPs doing stuff like Shane Hilbert and other cinematographers that are giving away like amazing secrets that cost so much in film school. So That's sort of the give and take of it. I wish I had the community of film school. That's for sure. Those those networking abilities in those schools are amazing. So
how did like, because you studied more business on the business side of things, like how did
yeah.
that come into play to help you develop your company further, and what skills did you feel impacted uh, the process of getting to where you are today the most, coming from that background?
Yeah, I mean, in film, I feel like it heavily relies on equipment. So every job I did have, it would sort of go back into the equipment. I kept a real business mindset about the whole process. It's tough because you want to be an artist, but at the same time, if you want to do it full time, you really got to focus on the business side too. Lead generation, business, to business contacts, just everything that it takes to really keep a consistent workflow. And that's another art, I feel like, of the business too. So as far as what I learned in school that sort of developed over, definitely just that business mindset, and everything has a margin. Every project has a margin. You can only spend this much, and you really got to focus on profits to build your equipment. So as your equipment builds, then you can really focus on the art, I feel like, too. But you could have the simplest camera and do beautiful work. It's just, I feel like on the higher end of things for big level productions, it does require some hefty equipment. So just building that, and then it builds your, I guess, really builds your, I guess, confidence in the field for me. So
Okay. And like, so you mentioned, some profitability and stuff, and I think that's where a lot of young or early starter filmmakers forget, is that a lot of people end up charging at costs. Like, how did you figure out what, like, did you have a formula or a process that went to like quoting clients and stuff?
yeah, there was definitely a formula to quoting clients. I feel like at the starting point, you definitely want to accept most jobs, but find a number that keeps you excited about the job. Don't bid too low to where you're frustrated, doing it. A lot of the jobs require a lot more work than we think sometimes to get it to the level some of the clients expect. So, really bid accordingly, and be excited about the job too. So that's what I would focus on for sure.
Do you tack on the equipment rental with your bids, or do you, like, in the beginning, were you just bidding primarily off of like your hours, or?
Yeah, I bid based off the team members I know I'm going to use. A lot of our stuff is done in house with just me and Sarah. Going forward, I really want to start bidding with other people in mind and other professionals, and bringing a bunch of different diverse specialists to the production, because that's when it really starts taking flight, I feel like. But
Okay.
yeah, at first it definitely started, just quoting based off what me and Sarah felt like the hours we would put into the project. So yeah, equipment too. If you need a specialized piece of equipment, add that into the quote. Just showcase to the client each part of the quote so they understand what they're paying for. Sometimes if you break it down so they understand in how many hours, or sort of related to their almost salary in a way, how much do you make in 2 weeks working 40 hours? So sort of look at it like that, I guess, too.
Okay, so like an invoice should pretty much have like a detailed breakdown of everything, just so it's full transparent. It makes it easy
Yeah,
for the client to make a decision upon, and just like close out.
definitely. To show them all the steps too, from pre-production, location scouting, to scripting, to, if you're calling any actors, any equipment needed. All these are a breakdown cost where you as an independent filmmaker are usually doing all these jobs and you don't realize it. So just break it down, break the responsibilities down for them so they understand what they're paying for, you know? And sometimes when you do, it really shows you that, hey, it may be a $5,000 quote, but if you're working with 3 or 4 other people, we're only making $50 an hour for that week. You have to sort of look at it like that too. So.
Okay, and at what point did you start really like hammering in like the price that you felt most comfortable at, versus still trying to build a portfolio? Like, how long were you filming for, and like what was the pivoting project that you finally decided that it was time to play the right price?
Yeah, I think going into the commercial world, you really have to bid correctly so that you can provide those high end results too. So I think at the point when we were making the transition to just commercials, it started to be really focusing on that bid process and really incorporating those individuals you need to get to that level too. So I guess that's when it got a lot more detailed and breaking down more of the, jobs in each part of production.
Okay. So speaking of commercials, like, when I was talking with Sarah, she mentioned that you had like an amazing structure for pretty much generating leads and finding clients and stuff. Do you mind like sharing that process to our viewers so that they can figure out how they can like find, good clients for themselves?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I would say, your reel really dictates what type of clients you can work with too. So really, making a specific reel for each client you're trying to go after. Whether it's a certain brand, spec spots are great things to do too, to just get the attention of these marketing, agencies and different people that are working with those brands. So, really taking your time to create a portfolio and a reel based off that client that you're going after. So that seems to help us a lot.
Okay. How long did it take for you to have a portfolio that was worthy of like pretty much being able to send out like a different format for each client? Like, did you have to, was it like a compilation of like many, many years of projects
Yeah,
or?
now it definitely is, but when we started, it definitely started with just our higher end stuff. Sometimes shorter reels are better if you only have high end stuff. I would definitely focus on your best shots and not just show everything. So that would be, something I would recommend to those, viewers or artists. I would say definitely, our reel now is probably like 2 years of our most recent work. So it should definitely be recent work. I wouldn't, bring back stuff from 4 or 5 years ago because you always grow so much. I mean, stuff I've done last year, I'm not as excited as I am now. So that's
Yeah.
even, 6 months ago, I look back on stuff and wow, I've learned so much. And it's just, it's always a learning experience. So,
Like the work
um,
just becomes like night and day in terms of quality difference at that point.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, your eye starts to develop that way too, and that's when you can really read. And now I'm just watching certain shows, and I can just see the production value and see how much really goes into it. So it's exciting.
So, with your whole scale up process, how did you go from pretty much the initial equipment that you started off with and then work your way up to what you have today? And if you don't mind giving us like a quick rundown of some of the tools that you
Yeah.
bring on set.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, I worked a lot of wedding and smaller corporate gigs to earn the higher end equipment. I definitely was about volume when I first started. So I was really about doing at least 2 or 3 jobs a week so that I could afford that bigger camera package later on. So I wasn't turning down a ton of jobs. I was accepting a lot of things and then just using that to put all back into equipment. Right now, we do use a lot of red cameras, so that's where a lot of our finances sort of went to from the business. We have a red Scarlet DSM2 Dragon. That's sort of our main A camera. And then our B camera is another Scarlet MX, the original version, just a 4K. It's a great second angle. But that's sort of what we put our money into. I really feel like, camera bodies aren't everything. Lighting is everything to me now. If I could go back on some things, I would spend a little bit more on lighting and lenses. That's my focus now, as well as filters. So I'm really focused on those elements a little bit more than the camera body itself. You can do a lot with filters nowadays and just creating a different look, taking that digital
Like,
edge off. So
what kind of filter do you mean? And like, what would you have gotten earlier in your, if you
yeah,
could have?
I mean, if I knew about the Black Pro Mist filters earlier, I know those are trendy, but just taking the digital edge off everything, a soft effects filter, it just takes your digital camera and maybe that, photography or cinema lens, and it just takes that edge off, and it starts to give it more of an emotion and a feeling for me, anyways, instead of looking so digital. I think, gradient neutral density filters are awesome, like a Top Gun style where you're bringing the sky down and still live in that shadow detail. So that's exciting for me to try to, see what's out there and experiment with those type of filters. So.
Okay. So you pretty much have some of those available, and those are like your go-to right now?
Yeah, definitely the Pro Mist and the Hollywood Black Magic. Both of those, I know they do along the same things, but now I'm starting to learn more about the little nuanced differences with them all too. So really taking the time to learn that stuff that I didn't think was as important in the beginning really is starting to become the most important stuff now. On the super big high end movies and productions, it feels like some people are putting nets in front of the lenses. Some people are using special filters. It feels like everyone has a special sauce based off that project, A lot of narratives seem to use more filters, I feel like, than a commercial. A lot of commercials want to look clean and sharp. A lot of film, I guess, in short films want more of a characteristic to the look, I guess. And that's what I've been trying to do is create more of a unique look for my work. And I feel like, filters and lenses are definitely it. So.
Okay. So
Sorry,
then,
ramble. This is
no, no,
one of my
no,
first
no.
time doing interviews, man. So
It's
thank you
okay.
for
No,
being here.
I would, just the reason why we're doing like a podcast type format is because I want you to be able to just, whatever thoughts you might have, we're having a
Yeah,
conversation. This is not really an interview. This is just literally like, I'm curious about what you're
yeah,
doing, how you got to where you are. And so that's all that is.
awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah. And Sarah mentioned that you do come from like the business background. And so that's why I was most curious to see like how you built out your budgets and where you went with things to get to where you are, because a lot of, newer filmmakers, they definitely forget about that element. And
Yeah.
so,
I would
um,
say, persistence with clients too is a big thing. Staying connected with people. It's a very people business. So, and everyone's moving so fast. So, don't annoy someone with emails, but, be persistent and be there for people. That seems to really help me too, is, the persistence in it. Never lose your passion for it, because at the end of the day, you're your biggest supporter. So,
yeah. How do you go about like acquiring new clients?
yeah, I mean, definitely, lead generation sites are great, but, also picking those brands that you want to reach out to and, looking up the marketing person on LinkedIn and just sending them that email, again, not annoying them or trying to sell them on anything. It's really, you're just telling them about your service, you're letting them know you're there, you're affordable, you're more passionate about working with them than making money. This is all about, growing not only a client base, but growing as an artist too. So just balancing that, and really focusing on, the money aspect of it too, so it can fuel your business more and put more into equipment. So, I mean, really that seems to work for me. So.
Okay, so LinkedIn is still like a path that people can take in order to find themselves some leads and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's good for emails. I feel like just for
Mm-hmm.
emails, if you want to look up, a local corporation in your hometown and find the marketing person's email and just send them an email and reach out and tell them and show them what you do and maybe break down some of the gear that you own too, so they know you're fully in-house, capable of handling any production from start to finish. And it starts to your name starts to spread within businesses as you keep working. So you'll find,
Oh, okay.
hey, if I do some over here for new core steel, then the big corporation next door, they might hear about it. You know what I'm saying? So it's playing that field too. And again, you don't always get to film what you really like. It's about making money, unfortunately, if you want to do it full time. It's fast and you got to grow. So it's about that bottom line, and it's about continually bringing in clients, whether
Yeah.
it's shooting a corporate video or shooting something fun like a high-end workout commercial or something. So like an Under Armour or something like that seems to be more stylish and fun.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
you know
it takes bringing in that consistent money to finally be able to afford to do
yeah,
your passion project, because the last thing you want is to half-ass your passion project and not have enough equipment or
Exactly.
like the right people there.
Yep.
And so it's like the early stages of sacrifice that a creative person needs to make to not be a starving artist, right?
Yeah, definitely. That was one thing it's hard to balance, when you're a business owner and an artist at the same time, a lot of the times I would want to put the full budget into renting the best lenses and the dolly and the crane and everything, but sometimes you just can't, and you got to work with each client that you have and respect them and honor them just like they're honoring you. So
Mm-hmm. So it was a lot of just reaching out to folks until finally like you hit a sweet spot in your career where it started becoming more word of mouth and repeating customers because of the great experience that you had left with them from your past work, right?
exactly. Yeah. And then using work that you have done for bigger companies and showing other companies at that scale, hey, we're working with a competitor of this level. We feel like we can provide something special for you. Really reaching out to your film commission too, and giving them your information and getting listed too. I got a big Coca-Cola commercial just from the commission lady. So just knowing her and having that relationship, she sends stuff our way. If you have something unique where you can provide, a good bit of value with a small amount of people, it seems to get around town pretty fast. So
Is the you said film commissions, is that kind of like a union or is that something
well,
else?
in our city, she deals with a lot of the permits and any big productions that come through town. She sort of handles their locations as well as permits and sort of serves as a liaison for North Carolina, essentially, in Charlotte. So
Oh, that's really interesting. So is it like somebody that if somebody like if a production company wanted to get more connected with clients, a good path is looking for the local film commission of their city or town in order to pull more gigs too?
exactly. Yeah, or just making that connection and showcasing your work to that commissioner as well as your website and just letting them know what you can provide so that when they do get requests for whether it's, Hallmark or Marvel coming into town to shoot a movie, or if it's Coca-Cola that needs a smaller crew to produce a high-end commercial, there's ranges and they need those options. There's in cities it seems that there's huge production companies and there's small production companies, and each one can serve a niche, very specifically. So I feel like use that to your advantage. If you're a smaller company and a smaller crew, showcase what you can do for a little bit of money and you can create a high end look, and that starts to get around town too. You don't want to go around undercutting people, but you want to showcase that you can provide multiple responsibilities under one person and do multiple jobs. So I think that
Okay.
shows.
And is the film commission like a county that you talk to or somebody that's in the city, town hall, or
It's in the
is
city of
how would they get
Charlotte.
in
Yeah.
contact? Okay.
In Charlotte, her name's Beth Petty, and I think she just goes by the film commissioner of Charlotte. So
Oh, okay.
she deals with a lot of the just local productions in the city. So if Marvel did come through and wanted to spend $1 million, she would get that 30%, or what is it, 15% incentive now? I think in Charlotte. I don't think we have a huge one.
Okay.
Been looking into that. So I know Atlanta has 30%. So that's what I've
That's really interesting because like for folks that do productions outside of like Los Angeles, that sounds
Yeah.
like a
Oh,
great contact to maintain if you're trying
definitely.
to get serious in filmmaking.
Definitely.
Um, how did you go about reaching out to the film commissioner?
Well, actually, they reach out to a lot of the local production companies too because they want you to be listed. They have a little catalog.
Oh,
So they want you to be listed as not only a company, but a DP as well. So when bigger movies do come through, if they're looking for a union DP or a union camera operator, they can go through this little catalog. It's not only online, but they have a little book version too. So they can go through and choose different artists based off, categories
okay.
in the book.
Um, so what are some of the cool like jobs that you've received over the years through the film commission?
Well, I mean, Coke was really the first one. I think Novant Health she set us up with too, and that was a production coming in that needed more support on the camera side. They needed drone and they needed some other red cameras, so we were able to provide that for a local Novant Health, which is sort of a big health provider out here in Charlotte.
Hmm.
They were doing like a mini doc, so that was fun. But really, those were the two big things that came from her. A lot of my other bigger jobs really come from the marketing department and the ad agencies. So really, making those relationships because the ad agencies seem to always want to hire a specific DP or a smaller company that can provide a lot of value. So that's really what I've reached out to a lot too as well. So.
Oh, okay. Lot of life hacks right here for our audience.
Yeah, I mean, I want to share what I know, I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know too much. I'm still growing too. So I just keep trying. I don't give up. So I think that's what I learned about skateboarding, fall a lot and keep getting up. So
That it's that stubborn like mindset of not taking no for an answer, right? That
yeah.
and the
Yeah. Well,
consistency.
I mean, you don't want to get known of sending emails every day, but just be respectful and check in
Hmm.
and let them know any exciting new thing or addition to your business too, and how you feel like you can really provide value for their company. And really that's your job is to make that marketing person or that ad agency or that director look good. So at the end of the day.
Okay. And did you have this confidence early on to reach out to any companies, or was it something that you had to develop over time?
Definitely as the reel grew bigger, you get more confidence. The more jobs you get under your belt, you definitely get more confident. At first, I was scaling down a bit. And like I said, doing weddings and small little corporate gigs. So as you do a ton of those, you start to just get so much confident in your craft that you want to, continue on to bigger and better things and grow as an artist. So I think that really, that focus kept the drive, I guess, in a way. So.
So so when you worked on that Coca-Cola shoot, like what what was involved in doing that, and if you don't mind summing up like what kind of budget range that they're
Yeah,
working with so that our audience would understand like what some a tier level of Coca-Cola would be putting towards a commercial.
yeah, definitely. So the ad agency, when they came in town, I guess they reached out to Beth Petty, and then she was the film commissioner of Charlotte. They reached out to us, CLT Production, just because we were a local production service that we had, kept a good relationship with her. From there, I was sort of in charge of putting together a team from grip, audio, AC, two red cameras so we could have two angles. We were going to shoot sort of an interview-based thing with one of their drivers and then integrate B-roll that we shot, on the course. And then honestly mixing in some of Fox's footage too. They had the actual Coca-Cola 600. So the process was we'd shoot the video. The QR code would go on the cup from Arby's. And then, you go to Arby's, you get a large cup, pull off the thing, go to the link on the video, and then you're able to see, or go to the link that the QR code gives you, and there's a video of Austin Dillon talking about the Coca-Cola 600 and how excited he is to give away this Coca-Cola vintage fridge. So, sorry to keep rambling there.
No,
Staying
keep
on
going, keep
course.
going.
But so from there, it was a pretty simple shoot. We didn't have much time with the talent. It's always that case. You want to pre-light for a stand-in, and then when the talent gets there, let them roll through makeup and then just ride on in. We really only had an hour with them, so it was really fast. Pre-lighting was everything with this, and just having two cameras rolling the whole time gave us good coverage and ability to cut around a little bit. And then just really the edit we were left up to as well. We had to, compose it, create a good pace for it, and then, give the ad agency what they sort of visioned already.
Oh, okay. So from the sounds of it, you've essentially established a almost like a one-stop shop over at Charlotte that handles like pretty much pre-production, production, and export to like
Post
handing it to the
production, yeah.
client's hand.
Yeah, right now we do, and that seems if you're an artist right now, I feel like that's something you have to do if you do want to stay you know, continually making, you know, good money off film is you have to know how to do every position, I feel like, on the smaller end productions. But as we're growing and learning, we definitely only want to stick to DPing and camera operating, and allowing everyone else to sort of take those positions. So each production's budget will sort of determine how many people we can get involved and how thin we have to spread ourselves,
Yeah.
essentially. But
So how many years have you been doing this to get things to where it is today?
probably, you know, from starting at the weddings, probably like 7 years. Yeah.
7 years. Wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah. But you know, the commercials kicked off probably 2 or 3 years after, you know, we did weddings for about 2 years, another 2 years of just commercials, and now our last sort of 3 years have been, you know, short films, commercials, features, and then a lot of corporate work. So
Oh, so now you're pretty much doing like features and short films then.
yeah, really, we've shot 5 features in the last 2 years, but they're independent features. They're not, you
Yeah.
know, multi-million-dollar features, but you know, they're things that are going to Hallmark, AMC, Hulu, stuff like that. So
Hey, but it's still features.
yeah,
How
no,
how long does it
I'm
take
not
for you
complaining.
to how
Yeah.
long does it take for you to prepare a feature? Because you said you shot several in the last 2 years.
Well,
So that means you're
some are
cranking them out pretty
ours.
quickly, right?
Yeah, some are ours that we do in house, but then some we work for. Have you ever heard of the movie War Room? We worked for Karen Abercrombie, and we brought you know, two red cameras to their set, and we worked with the DP Joanne, and we were more camera operators on that set. And that one was called Discarded Things, and it did pretty well. And I think they have a deal with Hallmark now. I don't know all the specifics, but that's sort of been the process with that film. Another film we started was Skate Shop the movie. That's getting sealed up right now. It has a lot of big influencers in it. I guess that was our push and our goal and our
Mm-hmm.
pitch towards Netflix was, hey, we have a lot of eyes on us from these influencers. Could you possibly pick up the film? You know, obviously it has a good story too, but you know, we're relying heavily on influencers for that film.
Is
Another
that
film,
is that your project or is that a client's project?
that's our project. Yeah, just a passion project that sort of spurred from that first skateboard film we did a long, long time
So this is
ago.
like a late sequel.
Yeah, well, not a sequel in a sense, but this is more of a movie. The other one's more of a skateboard video. You know what I'm saying? The
Oh,
first thing we
yeah,
did.
yeah.
Yeah. This one we wanted to make sure to feel a lot more like a movie than a skate video that skaters are used to. So,
But what's the premise of this?
Skate Shop, basically a band of brothers crew up together to save a local skate shop that's getting put out of business by an evil banker, and he's pretty much trying to put luxury apartments there, and there's a bunch of different things they do to try to raise the money. And we wanted to keep it pretty PG-13. We feel like it has more chance to do more damage in the theaters or online if it has that open market, you know. I think other skateboard films get a little bit edgy to where they close out some of their audience that isn't over 18. That's all we were worried about. So yeah, and that's what it's about.
Okay. How long did it take for you guys to start putting together this project?
Pre-production on this, we've always talked about it. It's been a passion thing for probably a year or two, and we put it in writing last year, and then we filmed all of last year and a little bit of this year. So yeah, the whole process took probably 3 years from,
Whoa.
you know, coming up with the idea. That sounds like a long time. We shot it probably in 3 weeks though. It didn't take 3 years to shoot. So
The pre-production is usually the longest part, right? Pre and post.
yeah. Well, it was always an idea and we always wanted to do it, but then we were just like, all right, we're going to put up our own money and just do it, you know? So from start to finish, probably a year, the whole process. And now we're sealing up the trailer right now.
Oh, so it was self-funded then, completely self-funded
Yeah,
for the most part.
self-funded, yeah. And then we had sponsors like DC Shoes, if you've heard of them. They're sponsoring the film. And then Revive Skateboards, which is owned by Andy Schrock. He's a big YouTuber that has 3 million subscribers on YouTube. So we're really relying on him and a guy named Blazendary who has 1 million subscribers on YouTube to really, use that as a funnel to promote the film.
So how did you go about reaching out to the sponsors for this film? Was it like getting the influencers first and then the sponsors were like, oh yeah, I'm down, or?
Yeah, well, we definitely, yeah, that was the big sell for us, is that, you know, the influencers are going to be in this film. We're going to promote it a lot of places. It's going to get seen, you know, can we please promote your product throughout this and have your support? So that was sort of the reach out there. Sarah actually, I think, contacted Chris Ray, who is a big filmmaker in LA, and he works for DC directly. And then we were able, through Chris Ray, to get that sponsorship. So thank you, Chris Ray, again.
Shout out to Chris Ray.
Yeah.
So with sponsors, like, did you just pretty much leave it up to them to decide how much they wanted to put towards the project, or how
Yeah.
did you, like, what was your process for like handling negotiations and building that out?
Yeah, so we just created different sponsorship packages for them to look at. So those different tiers, and then they could sign on based off what they felt comfortable with. Each tier had a different promotion level, essentially.
Oh, okay. And like, were the promotions mainly like stuff like product placement in the project, or
Exactly.
shout
Yeah.
outs outside of projects, or like what were the things that you used to incentivize them to get on board
Exactly
on the
what you
bigger
said.
ones?
Yeah, definitely product placement. You know, each YouTuber would shout them out as well. So those different tiers, like I said, you know, the bigger tiers obviously had a lot more promotion. The smaller tiers were more simpler Instagram, social media level, and then product placement. So
Okay. And did you have to plan specific scenes around the product placement, or it kind of just worked seamlessly with because the film was already a skate film?
yeah, it definitely works seamlessly because we use the product a lot already, and a lot of the skaters in the film were using it naturally. A lot of it was in the shop, and then we placed certain pieces too for certain scenes, like you said, just to highlight it even more. So,
Okay, so there was like probably like a couple of shots per product or
oh,
something where it kind of like was shot a specific way just so that the product was
definitely,
highlighted, right?
definitely.
Okay. And so moving from sponsors to your influencers, how did you go about bringing in all the different influencers, and and was it like something that cost you money out of pocket, or was it like something that you figure out a way to barter in a sense with?
Yeah. So I met Blazendary through Complex, which is sort of a company out of New York. They were doing a sneaker show documentary on him. So I filmed that through Complex, and then through that I was able to meet him. And then after we had worked together already, I reached out just with a percentage based deal that he would own a percent of the film if he would be in it and promote it throughout the whole process. Not a huge percent, but you know, enough to where if it did sell, everyone's getting a nice, you know, chunk of change. So
Oh,
that
that's
was,
cool.
yeah, that was the deal with us, to where a lot of influencers definitely want to get paid, but because we had that working relationship already, I feel like he had trust in me that I could produce a high enough product that, you know, Netflix would want to pick up. So
All right, so big tip, y'all: build relationships first before
yeah,
beforehand.
definitely.
um So going down the Netflix route, I'm really curious on the process of submitting to Netflix, because
So from
yeah.
what I've learned, I guess you have to go through an aggregator that they've worked with already. So we have a good friend that really is not in the film business, but he's sort of a mogul with a lot of different businesses. He knows a lawyer, I guess, that has worked with Netflix already. And if you've worked with certain aggregators or lawyers, they can at least pitch your film. So that's really our route, is we have a meeting. We're not picked up for sure, but at least we have that aggregator on our side. We have, you know, a good position with a lot of influencers to really promote, you know, a great product. So
And Netflix only buys finished products, right?
exactly, yeah.
Okay, so wow, so it's a lawyer. That's the one of the bigger keys when it comes to
From
these
what
streaming
I'm working,
services.
I'm, yeah, I'm working with a, you know, a film lawyer, and then there's an aggregator as well. So I think there's two different actual
Okay.
positions in it.
What's an aggregator?
I guess from what I've learned is they're people that have sold to Netflix and I guess have worked through the lawyer process too. So I'm still learning a lot of the ins and outs of it as well. So I might not be the best person to ask about that, but
Oh, but I mean, fresh perspective because you're
yeah,
actively doing it right now.
yeah, I keep hearing that word aggregator. So look out for that,
Okay,
guys.
Google it. Google it.
Yeah,
Okay, so then did you? So did you create like a trailer for your pitch, or do you come in with
exactly.
like a pitch deck or?
Yep, we have a pitch deck, a trailer, a breakdown of the influencers, what markets we feel like this would be great for, because that's really you're selling to Netflix that is really specific about their demographics and their markets they're going after. So if it does align with what they want, obviously they're going to pick that up. Um, I've learned that you definitely want to try to connect it to a nonprofit or any other organization. So that's what we're in the process of doing now is trying to connect with a small business nonprofit. Our film really relates to a lot of small businesses being put out of business because of the e-commerce world. So, these brick and mortar stores really have a story in themselves, long story short. So,
Oh, okay. So kind of
yeah.
like somewhere in the undertone, have like to increase your chances, do
Yeah.
some like social in a way like social message,
Yeah,
like a good strong positive message.
definitely.
Okay. Dang. Learning so much. Yeah, so
Well,
many
yeah,
good
I'm still
tips.
learning too, man. I'm definitely not the best on the Netflix process. I can tell you how to use a red camera and light, but the whole process on the back end, again, that comes into the business side of it and really learning all those ins and outs. So we're working with another producer that knows a lot about that as well. So I'm learning through him too. It's
Oh,
great.
that's exciting. And are you only planning on submitting to Netflix, or are there like if not, are
Well,
you
that's the
shooting
first.
for?
Yeah, that's the first stop. Everyone, the golden ticket, Netflix, everyone wants to do that.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be mad, with Hulu, I wouldn't even be mad self-distributing through, both of these channels that have, 3 million on Andy Schrock's and 1 million on Blazendary. That's an audience of 4 million. Even if we sold the film for $1 to 100,000 of them, like, at least we could get that, really we didn't put too much into the film. So our profit margin is quite easy to surpass. The whole film, because we own all the equipment and a lot of the actors work for free, was around $10,000. So not to downgrade the production quality because we put a ton of life into it. So just to give a sense for the range of budget.
Yeah. Okay. That's really cool because like having all that equipment definitely helped then because you probably saved like probably another
Yeah,
$10,000
oh
plus worth
yeah,
of
I would
equipment
I would definitely
rentals.
say we were a functioning crew of between $20,000 and $30,000 per day moving with the crew that we did have. If everyone was getting their normal day rate. So
Dang, that's really something.
yeah, I mean,
um,
really, the way we were able to do it was giving percentages to those people that we knew we had to have on. If I needed a
mhm.
special boom operator, I would offer him a percentage of profit of what we made. So that was the ability to work with a bunch of different artists and bring them all together for one common good. So yeah.
So these days, are you leaning more towards like what position do you mainly enjoy doing most in
Definitely
film?
DP. Yeah. That's my main focus is just learning lighting, lenses, and just really the art of filters like I was talking about and really just diving into more of the art of lighting. Lighting is everything. That's I guess a DP's job essentially. So
So where like how do you go about learning some like strategies and techniques for lighting? Um, like is there
yeah,
any YouTuber that you watch often or is it just trial and error?
yeah, definitely. Shane Hilbert has amazing classes that teach a lot about, every different lighting scenario that you really run across, whether it's day exteriors to night exteriors and commercial shoots. So I think he has a great program and breakdown. Other YouTubers, you know, Film Riot's great. Trying to think of other specific people. I've been looking at a lot of DPs specifically just on Instagram that are overseas too. They have a great different eye to everything too, I feel like. So just trying to diversify, you know, people that I'm looking at so that my style reflects a diversity, I guess, is what I'm not
Oh,
trying to
okay.
get stuck too much in one lane
Yeah.
because there's so many cool ways of shooting. It's amazing.
There's like that's the cool thing about filmmaking. There's 1,000 ways to do the same thing, and it's
Yeah,
just figuring out what technique suits your style the most, right?
definitely. Yeah.
So on Instagram, like who are some of the people that you are following right now that are overseas that you're picking up from?
Um, not specifically in many DPs overseas. I'm definitely I'm seeing their work. I don't know specific names right now, but I'll
Okay.
definitely I think it's the cinematographer page. They're always posting something amazing. A lot of people that I'm checking out right now is like Justin Jones DP. He's an amazing LA music video artist. I feel like his lighting is always over the top. He's been using a lot of lasers lately, which just blow my mind. You have to have a specific operator for something like that. So the art that goes into that is beautiful to me, and understanding his set design and his lighting is really, you know, something I'm trying to reach for. So
Dope.
yeah.
So what are you like the direction and goals that you have for this upcoming year? Because I understand this year like kind of put a wrench in a lot of people's plans.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I feel like with COVID, it gives us a chance too, as artists and media professionals, to, you know, to possibly work more than ever if we can really let these businesses know we can be their, you know, be their voice in a sense, you know, right now when they can't be there in person. So I feel like it is a great opportunity for media to really stand up and, you know, be able to send these messages that need to be said. So, but I would say as far as my goal, this year we're really focused on doing a time period feature film. Me and Sarah are really collabing on this one. She's going to direct. We're trying to lock a name right now, but we're thinking Crosslot, and it's a real, you know, time period based film that, you know, follows the journey of a woman, you know, and a slave that sort of meet up in their journey to get away from what they're. I can't tell the whole story just yet. Sorry, I had to edit a little
No,
bit
you're
there. We're
good. You're
still
good.
developing it, but it's a time period film, and we just are so obsessed with the costumes and the soft vintage lenses, and we feel like we can be more artistic than ever with a piece like this.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, then I look forward to hearing some updates in the near future
Yeah,
when we have this sit down again.
definitely. Yeah.
so, so you said that like there's more opportunity to be the voice of businesses these days. Like, what do you mean? Like how
Well,
has things changed, and how have you positioned yourself during this chaos?
yeah, definitely. Well, I've reached out to a lot of companies to really promote the fact that they need to promote the cleanliness of the business. They need to promote, you know, the safety that they can provide too. So that's been a big sales point for me. But really, I think big businesses right now are having to send their messages through video because they can't be at events. They can't, you know, be in person. They can't, there's no in-person interaction anymore. So really focusing on, you know, selling their messaging, I guess, is what I've been trying to
Oh,
do.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you come in with straight up like, here's a marketing strategy for you guys. Consider
Exactly.
this. Like,
Yeah.
just because this is happening, you can't be quiet. You gotta make sure you're louder than ever to be on people's
Exactly.
minds. Okay.
Yep.
so so then the corporate is what's pretty much keeping you afloat during all this then, like in comparison to like music videos and whatnot, or weddings. I don't think
No,
anybody's really doing weddings anymore, right?
no, definitely no weddings anymore. Thank God. Jeez. But yeah, right now, believe it or not, a lot of music videos right now too. We just got reached out to go do something in Connecticut for I guess the director that works with Little Uzi Vert. So there's some artists that I don't even know half the artists anymore. I'm getting to the point where I'm losing grip on it all. But I
Bro,
know they're
same,
amazing
same.
artists and they appreciate music videos. So I think that's a great, collaboration there. Um, we just finished something up for, it's called Built Bar, which is in Colorado, I believe they're located.
Hmm.
And that was the collaboration with Corey LaJoie, the NASCAR driver. So we did a lot of, we did 9 different specs within one day, which was just insane amount. And we were jumping all over the place and relighting everything. And they just wanted quick, content with a lot of it. So, but we're excited to see how that turned out. The director was amazing. We really fulfilled the DP role on that, and we're able to focus a lot more on lighting and creating a custom look for the driver and stuff.
So then, from sounds of it, you a lot of times you prefer the more creatively open-ended projects that really
Yeah.
lets you stretch your legs and.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's the goal, is to only work on, features and big budget commercials. But again, as a business owner, you just have to take everything. Unfortunately, you have to figure out how to make each client work, whether it's spending less time on their project or trying to bump them up in budget. Just being upfront though about the whole thing. Oh, if you only have $1,000 budget, well, I can really only put this many hours into it for these positions. And then you're not really going to get that look you just saw when you watched that, $100,000 Nike commercial. So it
Yeah.
just, you really, it's communication is everything when it comes to sales. And with video, because it's such a wide spectrum, like you really have to, tell your client why you can provide the best service for them and why it's going to be so expensive if they go another route. So, yeah.
So this is gonna be pulling from like the film set meme page. I don't know if you're following them, but
Oh, I
um,
need to, yeah.
when you sit down with a client, do you open up with what's your budget, or
Oh,
do
no,
you have to
no,
deal
yeah.
with the
Definitely. It's
what's
more
your
of what
rate?
it's finding out what they want. It's what they want to
Okay.
see, what's going to get them excited, and then explain what those items are going to cost, essentially. It's really getting into their head to see what level of production they're used to seeing, too. Some people, watch $1 million productions all day long and they expect something here. Some people's visions are maybe here and their budget's here. So it's all about lining up, the budget with the vision, I guess. But really, I start with finding out what they want. Then I sort of break down the number of people that it would take to do what they want. And then from there, I ask what they feel like is fair for a budget. But then I rebuttal with, oh, this is how many people I'll involve for this many hours. And it's almost like you break it down to where they understand how much everyone's getting hourly, like, which feels a little crazy, but it really helps depict why that number gets so big so fast. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
hey, your video, hey, Built Bar, I can shoot, 3 specs for $10,000. Break it down to be like, hey, there's 5 individuals each working, 20 hours. That's 5, whatever, do the math. But at least you can break it down and say at $20 an hour with 100 hours, this is where the $2,000 comes from. Here's an equipment cost. Really break it down from an hourly perspective. Sometimes it helps. But, everyone's a little bit different.
So just a recap of that. So you start by painting like helping the client paint their vision first, and then
Yeah.
from there, kind of start price pointing each aspect of their vision and stuff.
Yeah. So if it's a music video, what locations do you want to use? What set design do you feel like needs required? What lighting do you feel like, or what style do you like? So you can create a package based off their vision, essentially. Each job should be priced specifically to their vision, essentially.
All right. That's A lot of good tips, man. I learned so much from you today, Curt. I really
Thank you,
appreciate
man.
this talk.
Well, I feel like I didn't
And
make any sense, so maybe you can make sense of it. I'm learning how to talk on camera. I've never really done it.
same. I'm just going with
It's
it and learning. You know, this is like our like fifth episode, so yeah. I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk with us, and I would love to catch up with you. Probably like in a couple of months to see where things are at, especially you know, some of the neat projects you have coming up.
yeah.
And do you have any plugs that you wanted to drop on us or anything?
Um, Not specifically. I would say shout out Sarah Tang Braden. You know, she's doing amazing work to promote our business and promote her craft and my craft. So I just want to say thank you to her. You know, thank you to FilmGear, obviously, for having me. And, you know, thank you to all the film community for, you know, sticking together and being there. So it's awesome.
All right. Well, thanks again, Curt, and hope you have a great one and stay safe out there. All right.
Perfect. Thanks, man.
Peace.
Appreciate your time. Peace.
Thank you.